this wacky noise maker, what you have a 10-step sequencer. You can shorten the steps with this rotary switch. You can shorten the speed, the tempo with these two knobs. You got short and you've got long. Each step is patched out, so you have on board you have 4 synth sections. Each one has a VCO and an LFO. You can take the LFO in and out of each one, and you have 2 trigger inputs for each of these 4 synth sections. You also have a sustain up top for each one of these, and you have a starve, a voltage starve at the top for that section as well. Now, this little section right here is 6 audio inputs. The inputs are up top, and what this little gadget here does is it's basically a mixer that you can sequence the volume of each input. So if I have a speak and spell like this hooked into channel 1, and I patch one of these steps into here, when this step goes, it will open up the gate in this channel and let the audio through nice and loud. So you can put whatever kind of, you can put a speak and spell through it, you can put a little AM FM radio tuner. I like the way these sound. The batteries on this are dead, so I can't show you, but I've got my speak and spell plugged into channel 1. It's making some noise, and I'm going to trigger it by patching it into the sequencer. I have this step turned off. Now I'm putting it on. So it's real simple. Just patch it into a step. You get a volume knob. Turn down the volume. Turn it up super loud. And you've got 6 of those, so you can plug a whole bunch of crazy sounds into there. Go ahead and go through a few steps and just show you how to patch things. You can make plenty of noise with this without patching anything with just the synth section. You are going to need a lot of patch cables. I would suggest, 10, not including your line inputs. I would get straight patch cables, 1/4 inch. Tip sleeves will work if you have a bunch of jack 1/4 inch male ends and you want to just do the tips. Tips will patch everything in here just fine. It's all grounded internally. The sequencer is grounded to be externally patched to other things. Like if you have a circuit bent toy that you want to, maybe you're doing some circuit bending and you want to find some things in the toy that you want to trigger, or some relays. That's for somebody who's doing some circuit bending or something. You could use this to plug into the pulse inputs. If anything, it's got like a pulse input. You could pulse a control voltage input also, but it's going to be the same voltage every time it pulses it. When you are patching the oscillators, it's a good idea to plug into your sequencer first, because you can actually touch power to ground if you plug into the oscillator first. The oscillators are internally grounded, they're not grounded to the jacks, but the sequencer is. So if you plug into the sequencer first and then into the oscillator, you won't ground out, and if you do, it'll just mute it for a second. It's not a big deal. See how it does that? sequencer first, then oscillator. So the cable thing. Get straight cables for patching on your front part. The angled cables suck. As you can see, like, these are close together. If you put angled cables in there, they're going to be all in your way. You can use them, you know, they'll work, but it's a real pain. It has a stereo tremolo panner. So that's this. It's got 2 stereo outputs, and, well, it's got 1 stereo output. It's got 2 mono outputs. So you've got like a left and a right. And what that'll do is that will pan automatically your left and right, synced with the sequencer. So it'll go left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And side chains of effects going to different amplifiers. You could ride sync. You could have, you know, different effect chains going in, going out. It's like, you know, you could get really complicated with it, but you don't have to. This is a sick sounding effect. I recorded a little audio track so that I can put in with the video, because I can't record live video in stereo. So what you're going to hear is going to be mono, but there will be an audio track for you to listen to so that you can hear the stereo panning. The stereo tremolo panner, it's really easy to use. Basically just turn it on and it starts working. There's a volume drop when you turn it on. You're dividing the 2 channels back and forth, so it gets quieter. Plus there is a little bit of a pad on it, so the volume is lower. So when you're using the stereo tremolo panner, and if you turn that off, make sure you adjust your levels, or you know what level it's going to bounce to, because it sums up 2 speakers and it has a volume boost when you turn it off, so it's like kind of in your face, you know. Go ahead and show you that. So that's quite a volume boost. And also with that, you can only use 1 channel and get some really sick tremolo with decay effects that sounds really bizarre and cool. Just go ahead and try and get started showing you how this thing works. But, you know, for starters, you've got typical VCO, LFO thing. Play around with that all day long if you want to, but I'm just gonna go ahead and patch some stuff here. So, plug that in there. Step 1 is patch to that. If I want to patch step 4 to that same oscillator, I can. changing the sound of that. You know, I'll go ahead and I'll put this one here. And that's about it for that. Also, another thing to note, when it is quiet, you can hear a little tick from the clock, because the clock is an oscillator also. I would have to turn that over to the left for you to hear that. That's like super cranked through my PA, but you can hear what that is. Last thing that I wanted to show you, when you turn on one of these VCOs and the VCO's cranked like all the way, it'll speed up the clock a little bit. You see? Alright. You can adjust that as you go, but alright, two very last things that I want to go over about this box, then you'll be done watching this boring video. As you can see, I've got all the VCOs patched in and they're being triggered separately from separate steps. When you use the sustain knobs, you can link them together. So I've just turned on VCO 4 and it's still being pulsed separately, but it's in sustain mode, and I can turn the voltage up on that and make it louder or quieter, and you'll see how that kind of works. But I can link 3 and 4 together by turning on that switch so that their steps are combined, and you can do that all the way across the board, you know, and combine them. And turning those off and on, I mean, once you've found your patches and everything, got everything sounding sweet, you can just like switch it up and change stuff and make stuff sound really cool. And that's like my favorite part, is once you get to that point and you got a good beat going, you're turning these switches off and on, and you know, playing with the voltage, and it sounds great. But that is that. So, you know, and the other thing is that I want to go over is the sound level on the audio inputs. It's better for line things like that have a strong audio output, like a speak and spell, a toy, a radio, a drum machine, a keyboard, stuff like guitar. You're gonna want to put a preamp before that guitar, or else it's gonna be a lot lower than everything else. You can turn the volume of the synth way down and plug a guitar straight into it, but then you're gonna drop your whole overall volume like way down, and it's just a better idea to use a preamp after the guitar, or use a guitar preamp than this. So, you know, if you get an overdrive pedal or distortion or something, you know, it's not really made for guitar. I'll be making some stuff like this for guitar, smaller boxes eventually. But yeah, I just wanted to go over that. I played with it with guitar and it sounds pretty cool, but the volume's so low that you can, if you use like the tremolo and stuff, you hear the switching between speakers, and it just doesn't, it sounds cool, but I can see that, you know, not being great for somebody. So I just wanted to make sure I touched on that. I hope I didn't forget anything in the video. If I did, you know, just send me a question. But yeah, that's everything. Bye. I got the Rapmaster keyboard and my Yamaha plugged into the mixer.